Our top story this hour: the US and Romania are conducting joint amphibious maneuvers which involve nearly 1,200 troops.
Shift fires! Point muscles that way!
Okay, so exercise Spring Storm. It's a bilateral exercise hosted by the Romanian military where they've invited the U.S. to participate. And the purpose of this specific exercise is to enhance our interoperability with amphibious forces.
The war games are being carried out near the Romanian city of Constanta, off the Black Sea. The exercises involve different types of amphibious vehicles, as well as jet fighters and helicopters. The drills, codenamed Spring Storm 17, are set to run until March 21st. The exercises are seen by many as part of NATO's eastward expansion and are likely to further escalate tensions between Russia and the Western military alliance. For more on this story, we go live to New York in the U.S. to talk to Dakotah Lilly from the Students and Youth for a New America. Mr. Lilly, thank you so much for being with us. So when Donald Trump took office, and even before that, many thought that he would seek closer ties to Russia, but we're not seeing basically any changes when it comes to the United States' provocative measures towards Russia, such as these war games.
Yeah, I think this is true. I think a lot of people who voted for Donald Trump were really expecting a turn away from hostile relations with Russia, with Syria, with Iran, with many different countries. However, now that Donald Trump is president, he's succumbed to the deep state and the interests that hide behind it.
What about these war games? What do you see as the purpose? As we had in the news, they were sure escalate already existing tensions between Russia and NATO.
Every day, the United States and NATO seems to either expand eastward towards Russia or in some way in one of the proxy wars somehow antagonize Russia. I mean, the stated purpose of this was to boost military capabilities in Romania. However, what threat is there in Romania? What threat is there in Europe to any of the NATO powers? None. However, the United States is continuing to poke the bear that is Russia.
Why would the U.S. do that?
Well, because Russia signifies a threat to the United States' global dominance, as does Syria, as does Iran, as do Zimbabwe and the DPRK, as do countries around the world. And again, obviously that's not tolerated by the United States, as we see in Syria and the sanctions on Russia, the sanctions on Iran, the sanctions on North Korea. You know, these countries represent a different path. These countries represent a challenge to American imperialism and colonialism.
And Russia has always objected to such exercises and troop buildups near its border. We had yesterday in the news that the U.S. has sent several hundred troops. The UK, has sent several hundred troops to Estonia, for instance. What should we expect in terms of reactions by Russia to troop buildups and such military exercises near its borders?
Well, I think Russia has for a long time been taking this. I mean, if you look at the stated intention of the existence of NATO, it was to counteract the Warsaw Pact. However, the Warsaw Pact and the USSR haven't been things for decades. I think Russia is correct in condemning military exercises, not only in its own interest, but in the interests of the world and world peace and global stability. I'm not sure what Russia has at its capabilities in order to retaliate. I know Russia seeks peace. The United States doesn't, so that leads me to think that they're not going to pursue any sort of military response. However, we'll have to see. Perhaps they'll go to the international community, the UN, something.
Okay, thank you so much for that. That was Dakotah Lilly from the Students and Youth for a New America, joining us live from New York in the U.S. Thank you so much.